Welcome, my name is Tris. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Instead of doing the prediction for Australia today I might take a look at the under 16 social media ban that's just been approved for Australians. It will be implemented on the 10th of December. Let me just pull up the screen. So Australia is set to implement a ban on social media access for individuals under the age of 16, effective on the 10th of December 2025. This is to protect young people from online harms. That is the motives or the intentions for the ban. Now, previously YouTube was not going to be included with the other social medias due to its educational purposes that YouTube has. However, it has now been included. So they're looking at ways to implement technology which takes a look at how old people are. Also, and they're looking at it will come down to the platforms having to implement these, otherwise they will face heavy fines of up to $50 million. Now they are talking about removing all accounts for people under 16 and preventing them from opening new accounts. Now I'm just wondering if there's anything else behind this, if there's some kind of crackdown. This is Australia, so there probably is. It's crackdown maybe on freedom of speech in some way. Will this actually play out? I'm going to mainly talk about YouTube since I have a platform on YouTube, and YouTube is the one that I use the most. So I am going to be asking how this affects people on YouTube. Will this actually carry through? Will there be any changes coming up around that? And also if there's anything hidden and deceptive behind this ruling or put within the documents. So let's get into the reading. So I'm going to start with my governance deck and see if there's anything that they want to say. I say, keeping in mind all of those things that I just said. So it's about the new approved ban on social media access for children or people under the age of 16. This will become effective on December 10th. Thinking about YouTube, is this going to go ahead? Let's turn those cards. Card out that I can see sticking out there. People putting up a united front. It didn't flip out on its own. Maybe the people need to put up a united front because it didn't flip out to say it was happening, but it was sticking out like maybe it's an option. Affect my family. I have family members that have YouTube accounts, gaming accounts. Oh, military control. It says military control, but what it really means is control. Just like I said, it's all about control. It's about getting control, controlling the situations. It's going to have a negative impact. It's a negative impact. Now, negative impact can imply that these people are still going to find access to accounts, new social media platforms that are not included in the ban, and perhaps they will be unsafe. This negatively impacts the young people. As I was talking actually about my family members under the age of 16 that are creators, gaming accounts, this card fell out, so they are going to be negatively impacted by this, which is devastating. Now, is it really, on the other side, let's switch to the other hand, is it really the intended purpose here to protect our children? Okay, so let me come back and it's all about, okay, so let's have a look. You're not going to believe these cards. I wanted to clear the question up before I re-ask it again, but I just want to show you it's all about authority. It's about control and authority. It's about becoming a communist country. The beneficial impact. So that's really how I wanted to phrase that question was on the beneficial impacts of this law being the protection of our children, to gain approval. Yeah, there you go. So now I know exactly what that means. So I was trying to figure out how to phrase that question properly as I was shuffling, and my question would have been phrased, the cards have done it for me, the beneficial aspects of this law that's coming into play in December would be to protect our children. That's been said just to gain approval. It's been pushed out as something that protects our children to gain the approval of this law. But really, take a look at what it really is. Control, authority, communism. And we've got the trade war down the bottom. Okay, I think many people suspect that that's what it is anyway, but that was my question I was trying to get out. Then, is it really for the benefit of the to protect the young people? And I think, well, no, it's really, this is entertainment purposes only. This is all alleged. It's just card reading. It's a bit of fun. It's not fact. Okay, what else do you want to tell me? Oh, forced hand. So maybe some people had to bring through the approval, were influenced in some way. Maybe deals were made to get a few more votes across the line. In a certain way, certain people agreed to this bill under a forced hand. And take that whichever way you will. Okay, what else do you want to tell me about this new bill? Empty promises. There's empty promises. So what it promises to do is protect the children. And that's just empty promises. Will YouTube be affected by this? Will YouTube in Australia be affected by this? The creators in Australia be affected by this ban? Okay, so internal adversary, external influence. The seeds of prosperity. I get it. This is like the young people's accounts that are building and working really hard on creating their accounts for their future. And this is exactly what's happening, because this is affecting my family in this way. Because of tyrannical leadership, these poor young people that have been working really, really hard to get their accounts and become creators, to plant seeds of prosperity for their own futures, they're affected by this. Okay, we've got the approved situation sitting on the bottom there. Selling secrets. External influence, where they're trying to get this out in other countries. And let me read down the bottom. Okay, the rationale behind the ban is all about the risk to children, the challenges and concerns about how this is going to be played out. Now, I did read somewhere that it was Australia being the first to implement this. And those cards are looking at maybe trying to influence other countries. Maybe we're just guinea pigs, like normal. Internal adversary. Internal enemy. My question was, will creators be affected? Well, it's the young creators that will be affected. That was the question, getting back to the answer there. The young creators will be affected, the ones that are working really hard to build the seeds of prosperity for their futures, and they have been working really hard. So let's take a look at the other creators that are not under 16. Is that going to affect us in any way? A succession plan. What's coming next? Okay, so there's mounting tension around creators. Maybe to shift platforms. There's a bunch of cards sitting here, so we'll see if there's any here. Shadow ruler, governance, beneficial impacts, and to gain approval. So we'll put those ones back in there. Okay, succession plan to me means a plan that continues. So this is the first rollout of the part of the plan. So maybe there is future plans coming around that. They've got the first stage approved. So where does it go from there? It becomes more about controlled speech, dominant control. We saw those cards in that first spread. So for creators over 16, there is a future plan coming. Maybe more about controlled speech and what we can talk about. But some of there's mounting tension with corruption in where we're not allowed to talk about corruption. Definitely won't be allowed to talk about any kind of corruption outside of the circle, the trusted circle. Okay, and shifting alliances, changing platforms, mounting tension with YouTube. Okay, no question then. Liberation prevails. Liberation prevails. Let's do one more card pull for this one. Into the future, if this is part of a succession plan. I know succession, that card is created to who comes after the next one. So in the way I'm expressing this question is what comes after this part. So what's the next part of this plan? Please reveal what the next part of this plan is. Oh, they're flying out. Shifting dynamics, changing course, changing platforms. Okay, there is hidden clauses for the sake of national defense. To retain authority, encouraging us to shift the way we do things, the things we can say, shift platforms. The platforms that this law, Australian government has announced a landmark legislation that prohibits children under the 16 from accessing various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. TikTok's on there. So I just wasn't sure if I saw it, but TikTok is on there. Because I was thinking that's very strange and communist country sitting on the bottom. Okay, what's the next stage of the plan? What is the next succession part of the plan in Australia around social media? Changes coming to the infrastructure of how control around social media. So there's infrastructure changes, which is part of what they're bringing in around, and it has a negative effect of global governance. So what that means is overall control, overall governance negatively affects or impacts creators or people using social media platforms. Changes coming around the infrastructure that goes into controlling accounts, meaning they're testing accounts now. They're testing different ways that they can bring in or check people's age, bring in the rules about control, who can have an account. So they're testing different ways of doing that now. So coming up in the future, there's going to be a change of infrastructure around people's content, what they can say, how they who gets to have an account, and also overall global governance, which means complete rulership over it all. Negatively impacts tyrannical leader. So these cards are really reading really well today. I think they're all over it. I think, we all suspect this stuff is happening, and the cards are revealing that it's only it's a part of an ongoing plan. Part of that's going to be the infrastructure that comes in around social media to be able to gain more control of accounts, who has accounts, what they speak about, who's allowed to have accounts. There's more, that infrastructure that gets put in now has backdoor kind of motives for the next part of the plan for overall global governance, negatively impacting. That means we're going to, it's all social media, isn't it? It's going to say changing platforms, but that won't make a difference because there's going to be overall. We're just going to have to learn to speak in codes. Anyway, that was really interesting. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions about that particular ban or about anything about Australian topics, please do let me know, and I can give Australia its own readings and read on what's important around. And then we do have some really big things in Australia that are important. This is probably one of the biggest ones. I mean, there's lots of other big things as well. We have the AUKUS deal that we have spent buckets of money on, these new submarines that we may never get or we won't have full control over. That's another reading in itself. So if you'd like me to do that reading, let me know. If there's something else in Australia that you want me to read on, I want to be able to do Australia's own little readings as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again on the next reading.